Holding techniques. I find this topic incredible because there are so many techniques groomers and doodle moms and dads use that I kind of freak out of is surprising. So I wanted everyone to be aware that there are other ways to get a hold of the doodle the comfortable way, which is comfortable not just for the one who is trying to keep the doodle still, but also for the doodle. First, let's take a look at these two images on the bottom right corner. I call this method or way of holding is the chin lock, and you see it all over Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, groomers, mostly groomers. Oftentimes, the doodle moms and dads also use this technique whenever they try to take a look at the doodle's face. But they use it to take an image. And they just grab the hair on the chin, and they pull the doggy's face in the direction of the camera or in the direction of the shears, and then they do the haircut. And regardless how much the care provider is smiling while they are doing this is painful for the dog. So we really need to avoid this holding technique. Let it be we are doodle moms or dads or professionals. It's an uncomfortable way to hold a dog. Also, the following is also uncomfortable. I see this more often than not, that whenever doggies are wiggling around the doodle mom and dad, they grab whatever is close by and they pull the doggy towards them. Let it be a tail or a leg, or just grab the hair around the neck area up by the shoulder blade. No, we really need to change those techniques into comfortable ones, and we need to teach our doggies and ourselves to respond to verbal requests. So we can totally make the doggy come to us without even touching them. But that requires a relationship. And by the way, the fact that the doggy is not coming to you when called already tells me that it's either the relationship or they are in such a high distraction environment that they're not going to cooperate. So we really need to dig and find the roots of why the doggy is not cooperating instead of using the chin lock method. Let's take a look at comfortable holding techniques. Lifting legs only forward and backward, not outward. Now, that's very, very important, especially for brushing and combing, and whenever you're trying to reach tricky areas like armpits while you are in the tub with your doggy. It's super, super comfortable for them to move the legs forward and backward. In case you need to move the hind legs outward, which is very unlikely, but if you have to, for any kind of grooming steps, I highly recommend to help the doggy to adjust, to move the hind leg, which you are not lifting up, in a wider stand so they can balance comfortably. And whenever you're lifting the leg up, you need to keep the doggy focused on what's coming up. So they need to learn, whenever you are lifting the right hind leg up, for example, or whenever I do, let's talk about that. I get a hold of the feet, and I'm positioning the doggy's left hind leg in a way that they're going to be more likely to be comfortable. Just like when male doggies try to get a good grip on the ground while they are peeing on 3 legs, they get into a wider stand, and then I lift the leg up. And while I'm doing it, and better yet, before I'm even doing it, I let the doggy know with a request that, may I lift this up? And then they're going to notice, okay, they know it on my body language and with my words that, okay, she's lifting up my leg, especially if it's not a first-timer doggy. And they just cooperate and they are comfortable. So in case you need to take a peek down there, for example, for sanitary trim or brushing or bathing, whatnot, then you can do it in a gentle way without causing discomfort for the doggy. Because in case you lift up the leg in a way that they not feel balanced, they will wiggle and they pull the leg away, or they will kick and move, and it's not going to be safe. They can fall off at the table, they can kick you, they can kick the shears what you have in hand. A lot of things can happen which you don't want to. So keeping that in mind will keep your doggy comfortable and balanced. Keeping in mind your comfort as well as the doodle's comfort. in general, this chin lock is just one method we use, keeping only our comfort in the picture. So keeping the doodle's comfort in the picture. For example, in case you were a hairdresser, you wouldn't move your client's head in a way like grabbing the cheeks and then just turn the head by the cheeks towards you or the mirror or the camera. No way. They wouldn't go back to you ever, and they wouldn't be happy at all. So we need to apply the same mindset and same methods to doggies, because just because they are doggies, they absolutely feel comfortable in specific ways and they absolutely in pain in different ones. So generally it's a pretty good guideline to keep your doggie comfortable in a way that you would feel comfortable with, and try to avoid these pullings and grabbings, and we use instead of these requests and verbal cues. Holding the muzzle with gentle grip around the muzzle. I'm going to detail this holding technique with a real doggy around, but I wanted to give you a general understanding. What do I mean? So on the image down on the right corner, you see that the groomer is just grabbing the chin hair, the hair on the chin. We need to hold our hands in a C shape and cover throughout all around the muzzle area to keep the doggy still and comfortable. Now, you don't have to get a grip on the doggy. You just hold your hand there. I'm going to show you the method exactly. Holding, pressing on skin, not just grabbing hair on ears, flanks for brushing. Many doggies have fairly loose skin, so we need counter pressure on the skin so it wouldn't just run around and slide around the doggy's body while we are trying to keep the coat brushed out. So I really like to use, especially around the flank area and around the neck, to put my left hand, I'm right-handed, to put my left hand on the doggy's skin, like I put good pressure on the doggy's skin with my left hand and brush meanwhile. And while I'm brushing, I oftentimes stretching out the coat and moving my left hand in the opposite direction. I'm using the brush and I'm stroking with the brush. So that way the skin will stay there or even move against the brush. So the doggy's coat will be absolutely brushed out. In case we let the skin slide and glide all over the doggy, we're not going to be able to brush every single square inch on the doggy, and that's going to result in left-in tangles and mats. So that's one hack, a life hack for you to consider whenever your doggy, in case your doggy has a looser coat or skin, that you need a little bit of pressure and counter pressure while you're brushing or combing. Holding techniques to avoid. I started with one of those with this chin lock. Oftentimes, professionals use pressure points like finger pressure under the chin. If you touch your chin, you're going to feel that there is your jaw on the two sides and in a C shape on the edge of your skull. And it's the same with doggies, though theirs is more narrow and longer. The groomers like to put pressure under the tongue from the outside between those two jaw bones on the lower jaw. And with that, it's going to be painful for the doggies, but they're going to stand still. So again, it's a method when professionals try to save time and keep the doggy still for safety and financial purposes, so they can get done with most doggies a day, with more doggies a day. So it's again an uncomfortable one for the doggy. It may be comfortable for the care provider. So I highly recommend you to do a more comfortable way, not just for you, but also for the doodle. Grabbing the looser, more sensitive skin around the flank area to move the dog. Now, we're getting to a pretty cruel part of this, that and the previous ones were not comfortable either. But oftentimes I see it even on videos, like on dog shows, and that's one of the main reasons why I really, really do not like doggy shows, because it's such a high distraction environment, and they are expecting so much from the doggies, and they are kind of hung up on the table. And it's just, the thing is, I can see the doggies' reactions. I notice early discomfort signs and late discomfort signs, and all the misery they are living through while they are getting pampered. And I'm moving my fingers here. Is just heartbreaking. So oftentimes I even see grabbing the loose, sensitive skin around the flank area by professionals to get doggies around, especially when they are trying to get heavier doggies or larger doggies getting up from the ground, and they are not really willing to, because the whole experience already is not so much fun for them. So giving them discomfort will make them move. They can also react to you. No wonder I would absolutely bite like a sawing machine if someone tried to do that to me. And doggies end up labeled as aggressive, and it's not really the doggy's fault, really, because they felt pain and they were already not comfortable, so they kind of had to let the other person know who did it to them, like, hey, really, you should change your methods because I really just hate it and I'm in pain. So don't do that. Don't grab the loose skin around the flank area. It's one okay way to break up doggy fights. It has a high risk that the doggy who you are doing it to will grab your hand right the next second or even sooner. So I just wanted to leave it at that it's so painful that it's kind of effective to break up doggy fights, but you really want to find and try other steps before this, because it's just not comfortable and it will trigger the dog big time. And you really have to have insane reaction time, because in case they are getting after you, they're gonna bite. It's not just gonna be a quick snap. Grabbing hair without skin on, for example, the ears to lift up the body part. It's also not fun. I see it all the time though, and I wanted to mention this because again, we are doing things to the doggy which is not comfortable, and then we're going to be surprised when they use the big guns and they use late discomfort signs to let us know, like, hey, this really hurts. So whenever we are trying to brush ears, for example, we get a hold of the skinny part of the ear as well, not just pulling on the ear hair on the outside, but also the skin. Grabbing hair in any area to keep the doodle still or close by, except for emergencies. I see this all the time by doodle moms, and it drives me crazy. Whenever, especially puppies, they run around so fast and so much that the doggy mom or dad gets annoyed, and then they just grab a bunch of hair on the back, for example, or around the neck, and they just pull the doggy back on a slippery surface. Not fun. This is really, really ruining your relationship with your dog on the long run. And while you're doing this, your doggy, it will trigger a reaction from them that whenever you ask them to come to you, they're not going to come because it's painful for them. So please do stop this behavior and get your doggy used to verbal requests. I highly recommend you get a nice treat bag and teach your doggy to come back when called and stay there. And as long as they feel comfortable, especially when they get treats or toys, they're gonna love to be around you. Even if you just take walks, they're gonna love that, and they're gonna connect that being around you is fun. In case you're doing these holding techniques, like doing the chin lock or pressure points, or grabbing the loose skin or loose hair, it's just gonna tell your doggy that being around you is painful. So they will run away from you. And then you're going to be surprised, why did they do that? And you're going to be sad, and you're going to do this even more because you want to keep them there. So changing the method will help you huge to keep your doggy comfortable yet safe for example, eye area trim or facial images about a facial trim. And there are many, many other ways to keep your doodle still and comfortable and safe. Beyond these techniques we were just talking about, and we're gonna use them, and we're gonna get to know them on the videos with real doggies.